So last time when we were looking at the Mark II GT6, we got this foot support thing repaired. So it's all painted here, ready to eventually go back in the car. However, where I'm standing now, there's a bit of a space in the garage, and that is because, unfortunately, someone has run into the back of my Herald. So there's no, I'm fine. There's no humans injured, but the whole rear quarter on the car has been tweaked round. So that's off being assessed for insurance repairs at the moment, and kind of alters my plan on how the GT6 might progress and when. Or, well, it means I don't know what that plan is yet. Or I can't know what that plan is. Anyway, we still do have piles of bits from the GT6 to work with. There's actually plenty of stuff to do. So I'm going to get the manifold cleaned up, and I've found someone who refurbishes them, so that's going to get set off. And then start looking at stripping down the carbs, getting apart the bits that can be plated. I want to do that. And seeing what the condition, basically how much stuff do I need to buy to actually rebuild them. Let's go on with it. So there's the manifold. I've given it a bit of a scrub down so it's not so disgusting for the guys going to do the refurbishment. But you see the problem is that that's quite common. This is the banjo bolt that, so we're looking at the bulkhead end of the engine, the manifold. So this is where the split for the heater and return pipe goes. So and it snapped off, dead easy. The fitting at the other end won't move either. So it's off to be, those are going to be removed, possibly up to drilled out, and the thread's cleaned up, and it's going to get blasted, surfaces are going to get machined. So it'll be as new as it's possible for it to be. So now I've got a bit of mess to clean up, because I've pulled stuff out of the back of the Herald, been halfway through other jobs. And then let's take some carbs apart. So here we've got a fairly disgusting looking pair of Stromberg 150 CDs. Now I'm pretty sure these are the right carbs for the GT6 Mk2 of my, built when mine was. Definitely plenty of variations. The factory workshop manual doesn't have anything that looks quite like these in it. Neither does the Haynes manual for the GT6 and Vitesse, and that covers a whole range because the carbs on the 6-cylinder engine change quite a lot from the Vitesse 1600 all the way up to the GT6 Mk3. Plus with the US variations for emission control, extra emission control, it's all kind of complicated. Anyway, these look most like the ones that I've got in the Dolomite Haynes manual, the Dolomite Sprinter and 1850 Haynes manual. So that's probably what I'm going to be working from. Now I have already gone and freed these up a bit because when I got them, see that one, I thought it even actually works, but this one's very stiff. But I was kind of worried because this one wouldn't move at all, but a bit of penetrating oil. Sorted that. I do have the original fuel pipe, so I'm going to look at either, don't know, it's a bit rusty, isn't it? And that looks like a soldered joint, so maybe I can take this T-piece and just make some new fuel lines. Anyway, that's not important. So I think they're complete from what I can tell. I was thrown a bit to start with because I was expecting, like SUs, for them each to have an individual choke mechanism and those two things to be connected together. But these are actually built as a pair, so this is the choke and it feeds extra fuel to this carb internally and then via this pipe here all the way to this carb externally. So anyway, I'm just going to get to take apart, and particularly I want to look at what the floats are like, probably the needles, because I think the standard rebuild kit definitely doesn't include floats, and I don't think it includes needles. So yeah, let's do it in a bit. So I'm actually following the manual disassembly procedure here, which says take the damper out, take the bottom plug out, and drain out any oil and petrol that's still there. Obviously, there's not a lot of risk of that given how old these are and how long they've been disused. And then we take the flow chamber off. So all the same length on that outer side. No, this is the manifold side, isn't it? So the manifold side, they were all the same length. That one's going to be shorter, surely. That's central one. Central one's the same as the other three. That's how badly glued on is this. Okay, so it would suggest we have to let it float off by pulling it out of this clip. So I've actually never touched a Stromberg before. So this is very new to me. I had twin SUs the whole time. So even in this supposedly modern Carburettor body, that's neither AF or metric. That's quarter Whitworth, that's quite close. That diaphragm actually looks alright. So as I say, I've never dealt with these carbs before, but I hear that modern diaphragms can be quite poor quality, so I don't know. I mean, it's one of those terrible questions, isn't it? Or difficult questions. Do I keep what doesn't look broken, or because these things have been sitting in the shed for 40 years, should they just be renewed? Okay, so this is the special needle tool for these carbs, and it says in the manual S353 is what we're looking for, and this actually says that on it. It was sold as being from a defunct standard Triumph garage. I'm just going to try and clean off some of this stickiness. Okay, so there's a small grub screw in here, and then I think we have to remove the needle from the top. All these are not those sort of carbs. Just feel loose. It looks to me like, so inside here there's nothing for that to engage into, so these must be a different type of carbs that do not have that adjustable needle. I can't move the needle. And given visually it looks alright, I'm going to leave that for the moment. Okay, now we take out the butterfly. These look similar to the SUs that they've got, which is just broken off obviously. The thing, bits metal that you splay out after you fit them to stop them moving. more like resin than fuel pipe. I just try and dissolve that with thin as well. Turn the vent to do that because it's supposed to go out that way. The manual I've got describes seals, but this one does not appear to have seals. There's definitely a bit of wear to this throttle spindle. Is it enough to wear to the body? Feels like there's a tiny bit, but is it enough to get upset about? I don't know. Well, you know, not upset, worry about. Okay, so that's our jet height adjuster, isn't it? Piston lift pin. More bits in there. Okay, so I'm going to start off and give this a good wash. I'll give all the kind of body parts a good wash, and then we'll see what they look like. I might soda blast them, depending on how they come up after just cleaning off the filth. So I'm going to do that now. Then I'll take the other carb apart, probably do most of it off camera except for this choke mechanism, and then we'll have a look. Okay, so this is still the rear carb. I'm just taking the actual throttle linkage bits off of the spindle. That was another weird size nut. I had used an adjustable on it, don't know what it was. So, more for me, I guess. Well, or anyone rebuilding one of these is looking at the orientation of the two bits. And the spring. I would say that's bent. So I'll get that straightened out. I'm probably going to plate these. Well, certainly going to plate these. Okay, so I got that little bracket straightened out, and the needle, it turns out, it just needed a bit of penetrating oil and give it a very, very, very light grip in the vise with some aluminium jaws. And I was able to just get it to move, so it pulls out. I've also taken the diaphragm off, which is just held on by that ring. So I'm going to get all of this, everything from this carb into degreaser, get it cleaned up. I think I will check all the floats in some petrol, see if they float, and then move on to the front carb. Well, that seems to be fine. This is my spare, oh, this is my chainsaw fuel, so that's why it's red. And obviously these are old enough that the ethanol is going to eventually get to them. But they'll last a good while, so I'm going to keep them. Okay, so here's the front carb, and differences are the bracket for the throttle cable. That'll come in there, and no, it's no throttle cable, it's the choke cable, isn't it? That's because these are rod, throttle, and cable choke. That come in there and pull on this thing, which is our choke cold start mechanism. The end of the throttle spindle is also slightly different, so we've got a double lock nut with a tab washer, and this may even be a special extension type thing, because this doesn't look like brass to me. Okay, so this is sprung on something. Little squashed star washers under there. Okay, so it's that plate that's sprung. A tiny little gasket. Is it? So we're turning that, and obviously we've got, so I'm guessing these are going to be fuel and air feeds to the front and the rear. Okay, there's very definite wear on the throttle spindle, and that seems to be making it difficult to get it actually out of the body, so I'm going to leave that. I'll put a bit of penetrating oil on, just don't want to force it too much really. And this thing, I've kind of got a two-part stop mechanism. Notice that's like winter and summer. Stop you from opening the choke so far. We've got a nut, looks like we've got a star washer. Yep. Then a washer that fits around this shaft. Again, doesn't want to move. Going to give this something of a soak rather than brute force bloody ignorance it. Okay, so got that off there, so that would have been our full of return springs. On there. And that's all our mechanism is inside is. It's a little spring on the brass is just, what's the word there? Hitting it with a punch so it just holds itself on. It could come apart, and there's a little square circlip. I probably will do that when I get to clean it. That's alloy. So I think I'm going to leave that adjuster in place and just get the whole thing cleaned up as well, because it doesn't really need to be disassembled, just cleaned up. So I've had a go at soda blasting the rear carb and the part of the choke or cold start assembly. So that's what it started out like, and I think they've come up rather well. So there's a bit of corrosion on this float chamber. I think I'm quite pleased with that. So I just used this sort of thing. and did it outside, you know, full mask and gloves and everything. And yeah, seems to have worked out quite well. And unlike sandblasting outside, it washes away. So I'm going to give all these a really good wash in some hot water, and I might, well, I'll see how the other float bowl comes out, because that's also looking a bit manky. I do have a spare Herald Stromberg, which I might be able to shuffle around some bits to see what looks nicest. But also, you know, these are going to be down in the engine bay, behind the air filter. I know people do like to polish the tops as well, but I'm not sure if that's me. Anyway, I'll get these washed. So I've got the front carb mostly stripped down. It's been more or less the same, except for this looks to be, well, I think it should stay. I shouldn't try and take it apart. But I think this is probably the fuel pickup for the cold start mechanism. And there's also an extra bit of the cold start mechanism that I didn't take off before. So this whole thing needed a bit of persuasion to separate the gasket. So I had a little bit of a knife blade down the side just to pop it off. So there's obviously these two little valves in there. We also have this as well, which is, that's leading to, I would assume this is also something to do with this mechanism, since it, which way around was it? Oh yeah, so we're going to be letting more fuel in through here, through to just behind the throttle disc. And same, and this is feeding our other carb. But I don't know what this is for. Okay, last bit I think. So this, you kind of join a piece that allows the linkage between the two carbs to connect to the front carb. It's one piece. I thought it was double knot. It's not. It's one piece. And I ended up shifting it by putting the actual link in the vise, trying to hold on to this throttle shaft is scrap, but trying to hold on to that. It was just bending the brass. Oh yeah, and it had spacer and a little tab washer on there. So I was actually walking upstairs to look up what this bit on the front carb was for, and I remembered as I got there. Still checked, it's for the tube that leads to the vacuum advance unit on the distributor. Anyway, so that's both carbs stripped down. I'm going to call this video done here, because I now need to do some more clean-up, which is not particularly exciting. I'm going to pull out my zinc plating stuff and check how good it still is, because I would like to plate all of the little bits and pieces, the throttle levers and so on and so forth. And then I'm also going to order the rebuild kit for the carbs, because I'm pretty happy that my floats and my needles look alright. They don't come with just the full rebuild kit, and I don't think I need to buy them at this point. That's good. That's obviously going to take some time to come, so we'll wrap up here. Say thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for watching, thanks for commenting, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you next time.